cups. It's written by a guy named Solomon. It wasn't a trick question. And Solomon was the third king of Israel. You remember Israel had three kings, Saul, David, and then David had a son, and his name was Solomon. And
I'll tell you a little bit about the book of Song of Solomon, written by Solomon, all right, who is the son of King David, the third king of Israel, Saul, King David, King Solomon, David's successor.
This book, Song of Solomon, by the way, Solomon also wrote 3 other books in the Bible. This just wasn't his only whack at it and got it all wrong, and so they kicked him out. No. He wrote some other books. He wrote Proverbs. You may know Proverbs, and he wrote Proverbs because, like I said, he was one of the smartest dudes that ever lived. He wrote Ecclesiastes. And then he wrote this book, Song of Solomon, which is...
Writes 3 of your books of the Bible. He wrote the Proverbs, most of the Proverbs. There are a few other authors of the Proverbs. He wrote most of the Proverbs, the book of Ecclesiastes, and then he, of course, writes this book, Song of Solomon.
Like his father, Solomon was a songwriter. David, his father, wrote all of the Psalms, all of these songs, and so, which is really a bad translation. It really is better translated Song of Songs. Like, this is Solomon's greatest hits, baby. This is like his memoirs. Like, this is the best of the best. He's like, if you wanted anything better, I ain't got nothing. Everything that I had that was awesome is in this book.
Probably not the best translation of the book Song of Solomon. It literally be translated best Song of Songs. In other words, of all the songs that he had written, remember David wrote all these psalms, which were songs. Solomon was also a songwriter. In fact, 1 Kings says he wrote 1,005 songs in his lifetime. And what Song of Songs is, as Song of Solomon is, of all the songs that he's written, this was the Song of Songs, kind of like the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. This is the greatest among them. That's what the phrase Song of Solomon actually means. It's
the first ground rule. Ready? When we go through this, listen for yourself.
So let me give you some ground rules to studying this book with me. And ground rule number 1, listen for yourself.
Second ground rule is I don't want you to be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. So let me explain what I mean by that is we are going to open up God's word plainly. And we are going to go through this. And when we do that, anytime you do that in your life, God's standard is revealed.
Say this too, you're going to hear a lot of God's standard, and then you're going to compare it to yourself, and you're going to get discouraged. So don't you get discouraged.
Third ground rule, and I need to say this one for just to be very clear. This is going to be a PG-13 series.
Third ground rule is this is a PG-13 series.
Out of this, and then the last ground rule is this, is that this is a song. And listen, Solomon, when he wrote this, he's using all sorts of metaphors and allegory to describe things that people back then when he wrote it would have completely understood what he was talking about. But to us, it's the reason why nobody reads this book. And listen, so here's the ground rule. I'm doing all the work. I'm doing all the research. I'm doing all the content. I'm digging in. I'm finding out all the things so that we can pull out God's truth out of this. So I don't want you to disengage. But
the last thing you need to know about this series is that it's written as a poem and as an allegory, which means it has symbolism in it. That actually in their day, they would have known what these phrases mean. Phrases like, your belly is like a heap of wheat, all right? I don't recommend you go home saying that actually, all right? I'm going to do the hard work for you, and I'm going to dig into the culture and into the allegories, and I'm going to tell you what that means so you know what to say.
Here's an example of what I'm talking about, just to let the air out of the room so you're not surprised. Just want to give you a couple verses that he talks about in chapter 4. Everybody good? This is what he says. Now, here we go. This is Solomon talking, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the people. And behold, you are beautiful, my love. Your eyes are like doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats. Guys, you probably don't want to say stuff like this today. Your teeth are like a flock of newly shorn ewes, which would have been sheep.
How beautiful you are, my beloved, how beautiful you are. Your eyes are like doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats. Don't use that one. And your teeth are like a flock of newly shorn ewes.
Don't call her teeth sheep. Your lips are like a scarlet thread. Your temples are like a slice of pomegranate.
All right, kind of interesting phrase there. Show them the next line of the poem for me. Your lips are like scarlet thread. Your temples are like the slice of a pomegranate. Don't.
Your neck is like the Tower of David, built in rows of stone. On it hang 1,000 shields. Armor, getting a little bit weird.
Use that one. And your neck is like the Tower of David, built with rows of stones on which hang 1,000 shields.
Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle that gaze among the lilies. I'm telling you right now, we're going to be reading. If you're like, that's a no verse, you better get ready. You better just hold on to your seat. Actually, we're going to talk more about this verse in detail when we talk about how to have great sex and intimacy God's way on Valentine's Day, 2 weeks. I see all the men writing that down furiously.
Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle. That's actually out of chapter 4, where we're going to do the whole talk on sex. You'll teach you what this means. It's kind of a funny meaning, and we'll get to that one, all right? You're going to love this verse, what it actually means. Twins of a gazelle, which feed among the lilies.
Your lips drip nectar, my bride. Honey and milk are under your tongue, okay? And the fragrance of your garments is like the fragrance of Lebanon. Do not say that to her today. That is not a compliment, because wow, that's a bad one. It used to work, but you can't say she smells like the Middle East anymore, yeah?
Your lips, my bride, drip honey. Honey and milk are under your tongue. And the fragrance of your garments is like the fragrance of Lebanon, which is not a compliment today, because, all right, so.
Your belly is a heap of wheat. I don't know if that means she's fat. Your nose is like the Tower of Lebanon, which looks towards Damascus. Josh, what are we doing talking about this book? Listen, that's why I told you, allegory, man, you can't take it literal.
Your belly is like a heap of wheat, there's that phrase, and your nose like the Tower of Lebanon, which faces Damascus, all right? And yeah, so you can see that it's got some funny lines in it. And
if you took what Solomon just wrote in here, literal about his girl, this is what she would look like. Put it up, guys. This is what his boo would look like. He got the Tower of David and the nose and goat hair and the twin little fawns down at the bottom. Sorry, I had to do that. I couldn't help. It was too funny.
You can't take it literal. I'm going to help you understand what that means, because if you took it literal, she would look like this, and she's not that pretty if she looks like that. There's the fawns and Damascus, and wow. All right, so there she is, okay? So that's not what she looks like. She's actually very beautiful, and you'll find out why, but I'll tell you what those mean.
I'll give you kind of a very high-level picture of where we're going to be going over the next 5 weeks. Because listen, I'm telling you, as we go through this, some of y'all are going to start planning your weeks to come to church. You bet, we going to church. Yeah, I'm not going to, you leave it up to you to figure out why. Here's the first week. Today, we're going to be talking about this word, attraction.
All right, so let me give you just kind of a 30,000-foot view of where we're going so you can plan your weekends. And some of you are going to want to take note a few of these dates, because today we're going to talk about attraction. In
week 2, we're going to be talking about dating. And
they date for a while. That's chapters 2 and 3.
Then week 3, we're going to talk about intimacy. Like I said, this idea of intimacy and sex, and God's word, believe it or not, has a lot to say about it.
And then they get in, mark your calendars, everybody, February 17th. There it is, chapters 3 through 5. That is honeymoon night, baby.
The next week it goes is this idea, the conflict. How many know every good relationship has some conflict in it? And this is their couple through chapter 2 and through chapter 6, and they have their first fight, and they fight for about 2 chapters.
And and then the fourth part, and then they have their first fight, and they fight for 2 chapters.
Then we're going to end with this idea of faithfulness.
We're going to talk about true faithfulness